Let's talk the cup. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the cup. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here on the Let's Talk the Cutler Virtual Book Club, the Let's Talk the Cutler YouTube channel, the Let's Talk the Cutler platform, where we spend about 1,800 seconds together every Tuesday. I'm delighted that you all are joining me this evening. I really want to talk about how to take your power back. And I'll tell you where that comes from in just a moment. But just in case you're stopping by for the first time, let me just tell you this station, this platform is about inspiration. It's about motivation. It is also about challenging ourselves to show up our best self, even in the worst situations. We have these conversations, these sometimes courageous conversations, these challenging conversations, whereby we learn how to put our integrity in check. And we make sure that we show up with our character as sharp as it should be. We have these conversations because we want it to be second nature, to be our best self. We want it to be second nature to respond in a way that we don't strive to go back and try to make a first impression the second time. We want to make sure that the first time we make the first impression is a good first impression. Because sometimes when the bell has been rung, you can't unring it. You just cannot. When the words get out there, you can't pull them back. When you've already reacted or responded, you just cannot undo that. I often say how you respond is really what matters. And that is true for me in life. How I respond is what matters. And I want to make sure that we respond in such a way that we are okay, we're pleased, we're all right with how we respond to life. That's about that's the lesson, making sure that you are okay with how you respond to life. And this evening I really do want to talk about how to take your power back, and I want to talk about what that means. A lot of the younger people are getting ready for school, and they're going back to school. They're going back to elementary school and middle school and high school, and colleges are back in session. And people did a lot of things over the summer, and now we need to make sure we need to go back and say, all right, now let me make sure that I'm going back the same person that I was, or at least an improved version of who I was. Let me make sure that my character, my integrity and all things are going back with me. Let me make sure that I'm in check and in touch and in tune with myself. Let me make sure that I have not lost me anywhere over this summer journey. Let me make sure that I have not lost myself in somebody else or lost myself in something else. So we're going to talk about all of that. It's just a conversation this evening about 1,800 seconds that we're going to spend about making sure that you know how to take your power back, because it happens in life. Even as adults, sometimes we have to make sure that we understand how to take our power back. And again, I'll talk about it in just a moment. But again, I just want to thank you all, those of you who have been with me for the long haul. I want to invite those of you who are stopping by for the first time or catching the replay for the first time. Do me a favor, go in and subscribe. After you subscribe, then you can click on the notification bell to let you know. Don't leave, because we're going to have an amazing conversation. We just click on this on that notification bell once you subscribe. It lets you know whenever I've gone live and whenever I've uploaded new content and that sort of thing. I don't know where the notification bell is on your particular device. It might be down there, up there, over there, but just find it and subscribe. Click the notification bell and tell somebody else this evening, come on and let's talk to Cutler. Another man is going to talk about how to take your power back. I'll shout out the LTTC VIPs in about 20 seconds. Those are the people who tend to jump in the chat first. Make sure you say hi to everybody else. I see some of you all on, but it's not in the chat. Comment in the chat so I can see who you are and see where you're joining from this evening. I'd love to at least see your names in the chat so I can say hi and just shout you out. But for now, the top three people, the first three people that I see in the chat, not necessarily the top three people, but the first three people that I saw coming to the chat are Annie Cutler, Linda Martin, and Paula D. It's so good to see you all. Make sure if you're bringing snacks that you have enough for everybody, because we share and share alike here. All right, I want to go ahead and get started and talk about this whole notion of how to take your power back. And I want to tell you this. I was just thinking, I was having a thought. I woke up with this on my mind this morning, that a lot of times we need to stop holding ourselves hostage, and we need to make sure that we don't allow other people to hold us hostage. Now, that is the premise of my thoughts this morning. And so I was thinking about it, praying about it, meditating about the fact that we need to stop holding ourselves hostage. We need to stop allowing other people to hold us hostage, because sometimes we can we can find ourselves needing to release ourselves from things. A lot of times, even with this, I'll get it. I'll pull it together in just a moment. This whole notion of forgiveness. Sometimes we hold things over people's head, and they don't even know that we're holding it over their heads, and we've given them power. So that's one way that sometimes you give power to other people, and they don't even know it. And so then you are holding yourself hostage in a situation, and sometimes you allow other people to hold you hostage. Hostage to what color? Hostage to your past, hostage to perhaps a bad decision that you made. And so, one of the things that I wanted to talk about this evening as I get into this whole conversation about how to take your power back is making sure that you learn how to take your power back from yourself. Learn how to release yourself from you. Learn how to release you from yourself. Cutler, what do you mean? I think about situations sometimes when people are out of bad relationships, but then so they are released from that. They're out of that situation. But guess what? Now they don't trust anybody. So you're out of a bad relationship, but you don't trust anybody. So you have been released from the relationship, but you have not released yourself to back to trust. That's an example. That's just an example. Or perhaps you're over a situation. Maybe you made a bad decision and it led to your demise. It led to your fall. It led to a fumble, a foible of some sort. And so now you're over that particular situation or circumstance, but now you question all of your decisions. Learn how to release yourself. Think about that. Sometimes you are out of a situation, and so you need to learn how to release yourself from those situations. Again, just think about this. For example, you've gotten through and over a bad situation or circumstance, but now you're questioning all of your decisions. So you're holding yourself hostage to your inability to make a clear decision. Go on and release yourself from that. All right. And for example, if you've gotten out of a bad relationship and now you don't trust anybody, you question everybody. I'm not saying you shouldn't be suspicious or you shouldn't be cautious, but you don't even release yourself to trust anybody anymore. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm talking about. And so now, as I think about, giving your power away, there's certainly ways that people you would just give your power away. And you may say, "Well, Cutler, I don't think I've ever given my power away." What do you mean how I've given my power away? What ways do I give my power away? We do it every time. Every time, whenever you're looking for someone's approval all of the time, you've given your power away. Whenever you say no, when what you mean to say is yes, you've given your power away. When you're afraid to say no because you're feeling like I have to say yes to fit in, you've given your power away. When you look for to someone else for the answers all the time and you feel like they have to validate every single thing that you say, that's giving your power away. If you find yourself always trying to prove yourself to other people, you've given your power away. If you find yourself in a toxic relationship and you feel like you just can't get out and there's something that is giving you've given your power away. When you hold back for fear of upsetting somebody, when you don't perform or exercise in the fullness of who you know you are, in the fullness of your strength, in the fullness of your capacity, in the fullness of your beauty, in the fullness of your gifts, in the fullness of your talents, because you think that someone else is going to be upset, you have given your power away. When you fail to walk in the beauty and the strength of who you are because someone has not validated you, you've given your power away. And there are many more ways, but I'm sure you all get the idea now. So what I want us to do is to learn to recognize that whenever you're giving your power away and make the decision to reclaim it, to take it back. All right. All right. Because I wish that we could get this notion across to our young people as well. Those who are going to school and who are caving into peer pressure, feeling like they cannot stand as an individual. They cannot stand as one who knows how to make his or her own decision, who cannot walk in the strength of family when they leave and say, you know what, no, this is what my mama said I have to do. This is what my daddy said I've got to do. This is what my guardian said I have to do. This is how my family behaves. But when they get to school, they cave in and they bow to peer pressure. And it's not just our young people, but sometimes even our middle-aged and older people do the same thing. We give in to the unnecessary peer pressure. And peer pressure just means that of our peers. And it doesn't have to mean somebody who's 7, 8, 9 years old. It could be somebody who's 17, 27, 37, or 70. Make sure that you just don't give your power away. So, Color, what do I do about that? How is it that I learn how to release myself from being held hostage to somebody else? What is it? What is it that I have to do about that? What do you have some tidbits or some tips that can help me? What is it that I do? Yeah, one of the things that we need to learn how to do is set boundaries. Well, how do I set boundaries, and why do I have to set boundaries? Because when you establish boundaries, they help you create what I call healthier relationships, because they help people to understand what your expectations are. They help you to understand what somebody else's expectations are. They really set limits. For example, you can tell someone what you will and won't tolerate. Learn how to set boundaries, because that way people know what line to cross and what line not to cross. That's one way that you can take your power back. That's one way that you can release yourself to be you. And then another thing that you can do is to be intentional about who you share things with. Well, Cutler, why is that important? It's important because you can try removing yourself from a situation, or hanging up the phone if you need to, or removing yourself from the email thread, from the text thread, from the group thread. Be intentional about who you share things with. Be intentional about what groups you're going to be in. Be intentional about your affiliations and your connections and your associations. Be intentional about who you are and about who you're with. That's taking your power back. And again, here I am. I'm sharing this because I think about our young folk in particular who are going back to school and some of the lessons that we need to offer them. I've shared with you all before that I have over 25 nieces and nephews and great nieces and great nephews when I totaled them all together. And these are some of the conversations that I have with them. Some of the conversations that I wish somebody would have had with me. Perhaps they had them, but I didn't hear them enough. Tell them, no. Learn to set boundaries so that people know your expectations. And then not only do you set boundaries, but make sure that you honor the boundaries that other people set. Be intentional about people with whom you share things, but then be respectful when people decide not to share things with you. Accept responsibility about how you feel, but then be courteous with how other people feel. So don't let other people's behavior dictate your emotions. Take responsibility for your own emotions, but again, be courteous and respectful of other people's emotions. What does that mean? Well, that's a whole lot, because it means making sure that you take responsibility for your part in creating the situation. It means that you don't blame everybody for your feelings. Sometimes we have to take ownership. And so when we take ownership, that means I've taken power. I've taken ownership of what I've taken ownership of what I've caused, the seeds that I've sown. And again, as we're getting ready for the autumn, and of course, this means this is the start of school. But another thing that we can do is make sure that you accept responsibility for how you feel. And again, that's not making sure that you don't blame other people for your emotions. And as you don't blame other people for your emotions, then you realize, I see, here's something else that I don't need to do. Color, I don't need to spend time complaining. I get it. This is how you take back the power. Step into originality, step into individuality, step into independence. Let me not waste time complaining about people who because when you complain about people, you just end up giving them more space in your life and in your head and in your heart. Wouldn't you rather give more space in your head and your heart and in your mind for things that are wonderful and pure and virtuous and of good report, and things that are going to lead you into wholesome and a wonderfully holistic life? So stop wasting your energy complaining about people, because when you complain about them, you are giving them power over you. Why would you say that, Cutler? Because you're giving them too much real estate in your head, your heart, your mind, and your soul. I hope this is challenging us this evening. I really, really do. And then one of the things that we can do, you all, we can learn to minimize the toxic people in our lives. Because you didn't say completely let them go. Well, learn to let them go. But if you have problems letting them go, at least learn to minimize the number of toxic people who are in our life, because toxic people often want to control you. So you should try to minimize their access to your life. Some of us have toxic people in our lives and we know that they're toxic and we allow them to stay there for whatever reason. Perhaps we allow them to stay because we think that we can help them with their levels of toxicity. But you know the people, the ones that you sometimes say, oh my God, that person is going to exhaust me. I see her coming, I see him coming, and I already know that I'm going to be emotionally and mentally and sometimes physically exhausted when I see them, but you still allow them to come. Perhaps because you think that they need you as a friend. Maybe you need them as a friend, but learn how to minimize, if not the toxic people, at least learn how to minimize the toxicity in your life. So that when people, right, Paula D, stop letting toxic people live in your head rent free. Don't let them live in your head, your heart, your mind, or your soul rent free. At least learn how to offer a what is my word? It will come to me in just a moment. To just clean stuff out. Yeah, just learn to clean it all out. Spring clean, summer clean, winter clean, or whatever it is. Just clean it out. And then here is something. We will learn how to let toxic people go when we learn to exercise self-care. I want you to care about yourself. I want you to love yourself. I want you to be concerned about yourself. I want to give yourself head space and heart space and all those kinds of things, because self-care can help you have the energy to follow through on other ways to take back your power. When you love yourself, you'll say, I'm going to make a way for myself. I'm going to make a way for myself to take my power back. I'm going to make a way for myself to show up me. I'm going to make a way for myself not to cower in fear. I'm going to make a way for myself not to cower in doubt. I'm going to make a way for myself not to look for everybody's validation. I'm going to make a way for myself to stand up and be counted for. I'm going to make a way for myself to stand up and be me and say, hey, I'm here. I'm going to make a way for myself to command respect. I'm going to make a way for myself to draw the boundaries and set the lines. I'm going to make a way for myself to be uniquely and organically and authentically me. I may need to call some people and issue some apologies. Well, then, Cutler, what must those apologies look like? I may have to call some people, text some people, write some people, email some people, and say, hey, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that I allowed you to think that you had that much power in my life and over me. Because I want us to be us, and I want us to be wonderful and beautiful and powerful and strong people. We're getting ready for the change of a season. And as we get ready for this change of a season, there's always something about making these transitions that causes me to go back and do an inventory, to do heart inventory, to do soul inventory, to do mind inventory, to do an emotional inventory, all of those sorts of things, to make sure as I make this transition into the season, I step into the season fully executing the ability to be who I am. Loving me, loving my friends, loving my colleagues, loving those who are connected to me, being thankful for the people who are in my life, but taking back the power to be me. Because that means that we have to learn how to let go of negative self-talk. Color, what does that mean? What does that look like? It means that we learn to try not to say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to anyone else. A lot of times we will punish ourselves. We'll say, "Oh, that was dumb. That was stupid. That was careless. How could you have made that kind of decision?" We will say all of those things to ourselves, but we would never say them to other people. We would give other people grace, and we would give other people mercy, and we would give other people forgiveness, but we don't do it for ourselves. I want us to live in a space of self-care and avoid negative self-talk. Guard your words about you. Learn how to speak positively about you. Learn how to speak powerfully about you and beautifully about you. Understand your ability to be uniquely you. Don't strive to be anybody else, because that role is already played, that role is already taken, and I dare say that role has already received an award. So practice self-care, learn to be you. And then may I say this, practice forgiveness. Just learn to practice forgiveness. This is a great time as we are transitioning into another season, or getting ready to transition into another season. Learn how to practice forgiveness. Don't go into this next season holding grudges in your heart. Why, Cutler? Because holding grudges against other people really is a punishment to yourself. Because when you hold grudges against them, sometimes one, they don't even know it. But when you hold grudges, you're always remembering the negativity. You're always remembering the negative situation that caused you to hold a grudge in the first place. So holding a grudge can punish you. It can be self-punishment, self-inflicted wound. Forgive people. Because when you forgive them, it can be a way to take your power back. It means once you've forgiven them, you've removed the chains and the shackles and the fetters and all of the stuff that had you connected to them. Learn how to forgive and keep right on moving. Learn how to forgive and keep on going. Learn how to forgive so that you can move into your future. I've often said one of the reasons that we can't not say hello to a beautiful future is because we can't say goodbye to an ugly past. Practice forgiveness. They may not even be present in your life anymore. Sometimes we just have not learned to forgive. May I share a transparent moment? I had to learn how to do that as well. People had done me wrong in the past, and I thought, I was always rehearsing if I would run into them, how I would avoid them, how I would not speak with them, how I wouldn't talk to them, how I would be on the surface very casual. Just practicing all of that stuff. And one day I said to myself, take your power back. Don't allow people to have that much space in your head and your heart, your soul, and your mind, or your life. Because if you allow them to have that much real estate in who you are, you've clogged up the arteries of potential. When you allow people to have that much real estate in who you are, you've clogged up the arteries of your own potential. You don't get to receive potential. You don't get to execute potential. But learn how to take your power back. Because when you release stuff, you open yourself up for more goodness and more notable and noteworthy and honorable things to come your way. You really do. You truly do. I don't know that I'm even going to spend 1,800 seconds this evening, but I am so convicted by this message that I just wanted to make sure that as we make this transition into this season, that you learn to take your power back. Release yourself from you. Don't give away your power. Learn how to step into the fullness of who you are. Exercise self-care, self-love, self-concern. Speak well over yourself. And as you're speaking well over yourself, speak well over others. Let's learn how to make this thing that is called humanity really, truly humane. I want to thank you all for letting me into whatever space you've allowed me to come into this evening. I know, hey, it's not the full 1800 seconds, but I'll try to spend the 1800 seconds with this next go round. It's it's a few hundred short of 1800 seconds. But next time, go and tell somebody, come on, let's talk to color, because the man is really talking from his heart, trying to make sure that I'm really, may I say this? I'm really trying to help save somebody's life the way that somebody took the time to help save my life one day. And I mean that with all my heart. So thank you for whatever space you've allowed me to come into. Wherever you're listening to me, thank you all. Make sure that you subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. And then go ahead. Marissa Wright, welcome positivity into our lives. Original Unknown, thank you so much for joining. I see that you said initially, what power? Then you said true. I see. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. We appreciate you. All right. And until the next time we're all here, let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's keep our heads up, keep our hopes up, stay safe and stay sane. Multiple diseases are out there. You know, COVID is still out there and all sorts of things are out there. So take care of your health. Be holistically well in all that you are and all that you do. And know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I thank you all for joining me this evening. I'll see you the next time I see you. Have a great evening.